Rovers coming up at 10:30 p.m. ET. Andy Petrillo, Jordan Wilson, Gareth Wheeler. This one looked like it was maybe going to an upset. Could have been a little spicy for Vancouver because there were no goals after that first half. What changed?
I think, I don't want to say that York got tired. I just think that the game was more open, Wheels. I think that towards the end of the second half of the second half, it looked to be that there were goals in that game. If you start at halftime, you're thinking this could go to pens, but the game was open. I think Vancouver had chances, and York did as well, but you knew as the game went on and it grew that Vancouver were going to get more chances and probably score some of them.
What's the expression? Goals change games? Well, two of the most unorthodox goals that you'll see, both scored by the Vancouver Whitecaps. Like, the first goal is just outrageous, and you feel for York in that moment. Like, look, you kind of felt the goal was coming. The Whitecaps were coming in waves. They had 27 shots on the night, applying all kinds of pressure. The finish wasn't there. And then it goes off the rear of Elijah Atakubi after the bar came off the ball. Or the ball came off the bar. Easy. Hey,
it's only game one. Yes. We have another game coming up.
Thank you very much.
Keep it together.
I mean, it's an awkward one. And then Giansopoulos comes out for the second one. Once that second goal goes in, it's like, good night, Irene. The game is over. Comes out. If you're a goalkeeper, you're going to come out and head the ball, head it out, not head it down, and it ends up in the back of the net, 2-0, and that's a mess.
We're going to show you all these goals coming on up, but first, let's show you the updated bracket. So this is the quarterfinal stage. Last night, we brought you another doubleheader. That saw Forge move on. They beat Atletico Ottawa in pens. Toronto FC, they bow out at the hands of CF Montreal, who beat them 2-1. So 3 years in a row, CF Montreal, Forge FC will face each other. And now Vancouver Whitecaps move on. Who will they face? Well, that game's coming up later tonight. Pacific FC hosting TSS Rovers. Yes, that's right, a League1 B.C. side. But let's bring in now Ryan Gold of the Vancouver Whitecaps. Congratulations on the win. You move on to the semis. Yet again, another step closer to defending your title. What was the message in the dressing room, though, at halftime when there was no score in this game?
Well, we knew coming into the game it was going to be tough. You know, when we played Cavalry last year, you know, we struggled and went to penalties, and the year before that, getting beat by Pacific, we knew coming here it wasn't going to be easy. We had to be patient. The opportunities would come, and they did, and you know, thankfully we've ended up making it quite easy by the end.
How do you feel about Ali Ahmed, Berhalter, Betcher being young players that are playing well? Do you feel like a big brother for them right now on this team, or are you looking at them as equals, as guys that are just performing at such a high level?
No, just you know, good boys to be around, and good players that have been performing well, especially the past few weeks. We've all seen since you know, since pre-season that they're capable of coming in and being a big help to us, and yeah, they're just really good boys to be around, and try and help them in any way we can.
Congrats on the win tonight, Brian. You and your team on a really good run of form right now. What's the vibe in the room? Where's the confidence coming from? What's working well for Vancouver Whitecaps at present time?
Yeah, the confidence is high. You know, from the end of last year, we knew, you know, we're capable of being a good team. It was just there was a lack of consistency there, and you know, we weren't the greatest with possession and defensively last year. But I think, you know, defensively especially, we've really picked it up this year, and we've got quite a good goal difference as well, and we're putting in good performances with the ball. So, you know, as long as that continues, all the boys are really positive, and you know, thinking that we can have a really good season.
Well, you maintained your composure here tonight. You walk away with the win, moving on to the semifinals of the Canadian Championship. Thanks for taking the time, Ryan.
Well played.
Perfect. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Also talked to Vanni Sartini about their defensive form, because we had mentioned 8-game unbeaten streak in MLS, 4 clean sheets. You saw the goalkeeper, Taka Oko, and listen, we know this as goalkeepers, getting the win is one thing. He was mad when that went in because they want the clean sheet. They've been priding themselves on some good defensive play as well.
I mean, that's huge. I'm kind of looking at them from the other side of the coin, though. 27 shots tonight. They had 21 against Colorado a few weeks back. They're creating a lot more than Vancouver Whitecaps teams of past. Like, Lucas Cavallini leading the line maybe wasn't the right fit, but he was starved of service, starved of chances. But chance creation's there. I think they still play a little bit too much on the periphery. Ryan Gauld, 3, 4, 5 chances. Giantsopoulos was great tonight, despite the gap that led to the second goal. But they're creating a lot more. I don't know for you, Jordan, what's changed. Is it formation? I think it has more to do with personnel than anything, but yeah. What do you make of that?
No, I think personnel is a big part of it. I think they actually have players this season that relish being in and around the box. They love that opportunity. Gauld being one of them. I felt a lot last season that he was a bit isolated. Yeah. He was the guy that had to make something happen. But this season, he has legs. You have Ali Ahmed. I thought he was exceptional tonight. I know we gave it to Gauld, but I thought Ali Ahmed could also get a mention in terms of just the way that he was so direct. But he has bodies and guys moving forward. I think it's a collective group now that you have like 6, 7 names you can bring. Brian White has been playing exceptional for this Vancouver Whitecaps team. I just think that they shouldn't take so long and so many chances to get things happening.
Well, Cordova's out. He's on his way back. Whether it's Betcher, whether it's White, you hope that some combination of those trio can provide enough goals for this team, because their XG, the data suggests that they should be scoring more than they are. 14 through 10 Major League Soccer games, 5 came against a 10-man Montreal side. I think that's kind of the next evolution of this side. You found your center back pairing. That is a big win for this team. Now you just got to be a little bit more ruthless. And tonight, 4 goals. They don't ask how, they ask how many. And 4, I think, reflects the balance of the play tonight. I think it's a fair result.
They don't care how that first goal went in either, because it opened up the floodgates, although you're really feeling for Adekubi as we take a look at the opening goal here. So as mentioned, nothing through the first 45. And even the second half, we thought, oh, is anything going to happen here? And then this happened in the 64th minute. And we all went, not that because, you're upset Vancouver scored. You just hate these kind of goals. We all went, oh. No.
But Ali Ahmed has to get the credit
here,
because he just takes on Max Ferrari, goes to the byline, plays it hard across. A lot of players sometimes would have chipped it, would have shot it on goal, or would have gone wide. But he plays it hard across, and you know that something could happen there. I think Nico makes a save that he should make, but the rebound, it's just so unfortunate to go off the bar and then off Adekubi.
And Adekubi was doing the right thing. He sees the goalkeeper come off the line. He's tracking back to take care of his position. And look, at that time, you were just wondering whether it be one of those nights where, for whatever reason, Vancouver couldn't find the back of the net for all the chances that they created. And Sartini had seen enough. He was ready to bring in Gressel. And right when that happened, he told Gressel to sit down and saved him for another 5-10 minutes. So he was ready to kind of pull the plug and switch things up. But that goal, again, just changed the game. Just that goal going into the back of the net, and Vancouver were really comfortable from that time.
Well, we mentioned in the beginning of the match, Wheels, I said specifically that in this game, I can remember last season, it was similar to this, where you defend a bit. If you don't score and you have Vancouver Whitecaps pressing you, at a point, they're going to break the dam. They're going to score.
Yeah. Well, so Giantsopoulos was really good in this game, too. He was coming up with some really big saves. And then, second goal. And obviously, the fourth goal ended up being a penalty kick. But what did you see kind of, happen here, considering it had also been, such a strong performance by him?
Look, a long route, one ball forward. You know that you have to come out. You're just hoping that you head the ball. Even if you can't head it up, you head it wide or away. Like, heading it straight down the middle is just a worse situation. This is a moment he's going to want back.
He's looking right at him, too. By the way, Simon Betcher, 6 goals in 9 games in all competitions this season. It's a good goal-scoring record. He does it again.
Yeah, no, they were definitely looking good. The floodgates opened up right there. And this is where I guess the difference is when we always say, like, the margins still are pretty small. I know we were talking about this between CPL and MLS teams. At least the gap is starting to close a little bit here. But it's that attention to detail, and that seemed to be the case in what separated these two teams here tonight. Was that attention to detail by the Vancouver Whitecaps. Let's take a look at the goal number 3 here by Vancouver. Now, this is where we thought, okay, things are starting to get a little out of hand here, right? This is, again, where moments like this, they weathered the storm, they paid attention to detail, they showed their composure, and then really started to take the game to them.
Well, right before this, York missed a golden goal-scoring opportunity. Should have been 2-1 at that time. Another feel-good story. Levante Johnson, short-term contract, playing for Whitecaps 2, scored 3 goals in 6. scores one here tonight for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Another player coming out of Syracuse University, joining the ranks of like Kamal Miller. Like Syracuse has been a powerhouse in collegiate ranks, continue to churn out great players. There's obviously close to the border, a lot of Ontario kids go down to play at Syracuse, and just another number. He's a little bit older at 24, but what a way to mark your Vancouver Whitecaps appearance here tonight.
Yeah, and you're looking at that goal for the third one. It's just because York just had a big opportunity that they're so stretched. You have a winger running at your center back, 1v1 in the box with no help. It's a recipe for disaster.
But again, clean sheet was ruined by Austin Ricci.
Ricci hits this one with venom. And I like this. This is Takaoka is saying, hey, guys, you didn't go and press, but look, going near post, well hit, well struck. I think one bounce on that, yep, you know it's going to skip right in. There's a well struck.
I love this goal. This is what Austin Ricci is capable of. Listen, on the road to recovery, injury has kind of derailed his career, but I mean, that ability to hit that ball like that, I mean, it's a great shot. They're going to need a whole lot more of Austin Ricci as long as Mo Bubuli's out of this team.
Game tucked away at this point, 91st minute. They get called for a pen.
Soft.
I was about to say, did you think this was soft? I bet you're going
Yes.
down. It's kind of a little insult to injury here, right? Goes down, the penalty's awarded.
I mean, little bit of a tug, and that's why the referee made the call. I understand why the referee made the call. 3-1, well beyond the 90th minute. It's a little bit soft for me.
He got to let that one go, referee. Maybe my York bias is coming out, but that is super.
There was a pull, and I get it, but, I mean, 3-1, stoppage time.
But this is why you have to watch the game, because the scoreline in some ways can be deceiving. I mean, 4-1, yes, you know, Vancouver Whitecaps at the end of the day, a better team, but no score.
Yeah.
After the first 45, no goal until the 64th minute, and it was an own goal.
See,
where you kind of felt the shoulders slump from York a little bit.
I disagree. York had some chances. I think that they were as resilient as they could be. But Vancouver were generally on the front foot in this game. York did a good job staying in their shape, played a little bit direct at times, but let's not mince words. The Whitecaps were the class in this game here today. They drove everything.
Listen, they were great, but I'm still saying it's pretty impressive that York hung in there as long as they did, and it took an own goal to open up the floodgates. Last year, they limped into that game against Vancouver, completely injured, still walked away, 2-1 loss. Like, it's not as bad as you think it is. But at the end of the day, I guess you lost, so you are out of the tournament. And the Vancouver Whitecaps continue their journey towards winning back-to-back Voyager Cups. When we come back, we're going to be getting you set for the next game. Pacific hosting the Cinderella story, TSS Rovers.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
The new season underway. Absolute class. It's the golden boy once again.
Very good. What a sweet moment. Super goal.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota BZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. Space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free. Access Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer and the Canadian Championship.
Coming up 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it's the second of our doubleheader. Pacific FC hosting TSS Rovers. That's what we're going to get you set up for. And joining us now is Pacific FC head coach James Merriman. No doubt your team wants to get back to the semifinal. Last time you were there, 2021. But you know, James, a lot of people, of course, are talking about this Cinderella story of TSS Rovers. So what kind of preparation do you put into taking on a League One team?
To be honest, Andy, we've been very focused on ourselves. Of course, we respect the way that they played against Valor and the heart and the character that they showed in that match. But we feel we're in a good moment. We're playing the way that we want to play. We're coming off a positive result and performance. So we very humble locker room. We're completely focused on ourselves and ready for the match tonight.
You are coming off a great win in CPL action, 4-1 over Atletico Ottawa, so a nice offensive burst there. What worked in that game that you would like to emulate here tonight?
Okay, we went forward a little bit quicker and we were very good in transition. For us, we feel that we've been creating chances. It was just more to be a bit freer in front of goal, to take more half chances, to not have to make it be perfect in front of goal, and to enjoy themselves. And I think that's what we saw. It was a more free-flowing attack. And we want to bring the same. We've been disciplined defensively. We want to be on the front foot. We're at home. This is our place. We want to play with energy for our fans. So I don't think we need to change too much, and we haven't changed too much. It was just more. Finally, we came alive in front of goal.
You really did, and it seems like the goal scoring has also been spread out a little bit, and I know heading into the season, a lot of questions were being asked about where that would come from, and I know you signed Easton Ongaro. Saluf right now leading the team with 2 goals, and quite a few players have 1 goal. Do you feel like you've answered that question a little bit as far as where the offense is going to come from, or do you want to see that perhaps shored up a little bit more by certain players?
No, I think more players need to take their opportunities. I think, Easton is a great professional. He's been training really well. I'm not concerned. I know it's going to come. Tonight's a great opportunity for him. I think Adonai Jarid is another one that's had really good performances and had opportunities but not taken. So it's going to come for him. And we still haven't gotten Kakuta Mene time, but he's very good. He's looking good in training and he's ready. So I think we have multiple players that can add goals and create more in front of goal.
Well, we look forward to the match later tonight. Thanks for taking the time now.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Andy.
James Merriman will see his team in action coming up at 10:30 p.m. ET. Where are you with their goal scoring? And when I say, people were asking questions, that'll probably be you and me, Jardo, on One Nation. Where are those goals going to start coming from? But, what are you seeing right now from this team?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm seeing a team that is the group in the Canadian Premier League that's most likely to challenge Forge. I think they're good in every position. I don't see there being a weakness. Okay, you work through the first few weeks of the season. You play Forge at home in a game that just doesn't work for you, and you rebound and come off with a 4-goal effort the week after. I have no problem with what I've seen from this team. Kakuta Mene is still warming up. I think they've replaced Bustos adequately, maybe even more so, with Saluf, who looks like the real deal. Sometimes for a new number 9, when they come into a new team, it takes them a little bit of time to get their rhythm, find their new legs with their new team. I'm completely fine with what I've seen. And remember, Aparicio missed a couple of games as well, and he's the player that makes this team tick. They're as dangerous as any team in the Canadian Premier League. Tonight could be a good opportunity to get some of these players going, like James said, and really potentially put up a big number.
All right, we're going to kill Jordan's mic over here. Poor guy's choking
okay?
again. We're going to bring in Will Cromack, head coach of TSS Rovers. We're doing all right in studio here, Will. Have no fear. We're going to be good to go for the game at 10:30. As long as you're doing okay, how are you feeling?
Perfect. Well, it's like taking your kids out to the P&E. It's all good. We're having fun here. It's great.
A lot of people are excited to see you in the next round. You're obviously in these uncharted territory that no other League One team has ever been to before. Of course, the quarterfinal of the Canadian Championship. What was your message to your team after that big win over Valor and, of course, preparing for this one against Pacific?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity, right? I mean, we are thankful that people like yourselves are respecting our club and the players so much and giving them the attention that we so desperately want them to have. This is another incredible opportunity with even more eyes, I would say. You know, no disrespect to Valor, but we've got a team here that's top quality, been in the CONCACAF League. So, you know, we're talking about guys who have now another opportunity to go say, pick me.
Well, and I remember, you know, speaking to you before that game against Valor, you had conceded. You said, listen, there's a good chance that they're going to have majority of the possession. We know this. We watched how the other League One teams did,
yep.
And it was all about our moments and taking our chances. So what was it about your team that was just even able to do that?
Well, I mean, let's say we had a plan, but I think at the end of the day, we also recognize these guys are exceptionally hungry. They want to prove doubters wrong. They want to say, why not me? And so when you have those two things coming together, teams like Pacific, Valor, CPL teams are going to be protagonists against us. We have to recognize that, but that opens up opportunities. You know, one of the things about soccer that everybody knows on my side of the world is, you know, when you have a strength, it's also considered your weakness. That goes for every level of this game. So you can't mark it all. Take your chances. You're going to get them. Very rare that someone's seen a game where someone does get one, maybe two chances. In our case, we're going to have to take those, and we did.
Well, you definitely did. It was great. You had that first game at home, and we know that TSS Rovers is a supporter-owned club. So I am wondering, though, if you are the big shot in town and if you maybe didn't have to pay for a meal or maybe didn't have to pay for gas. I mean, there's some perks that came with that win?
Actually, it was the opposite. I bought a round.
Oh.
I was, you know, made sure that everybody showed up. I think I'm broke running this club, but, you know, this is, we've said it once, we've said it 1,000 times. It's a community-owned club, and nobody has any money yet because they bought some shares. So at the end of the day, this is a celebration for us, and we are excited to be here.
All right, well, I look forward. That next round, the One Soccer crew is going to jump on board as well. Thanks for taking the time, Will. Best of luck tonight.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I mean, he's playing with house money. He's got a big smile on his face, but I don't know. I'm not going to fall for it because he was kind of laid back as well before Valor, and they came out.
Are you buying the round if they win tonight?
You know what? I'll buy the round.
Whoa!
Let's
Andy
go!
Petrillo!
Hamilton, Ontario plays host to this weekend's Tony Bent Match of the Week as Valor FC looks to make some noise in Steel City.
Now he gets it right back and he scores!
The second half of One Soccer's CPL doubleheader sees Cavalry FC host HFX Wanderers in a match that could prove key in the race for early season playoff positioning. The Canadian Premier League continues on one channel, One Soccer.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream.
Christine Sinclair as she scores at her 5th World Cup. Alfonso Davies!
It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
Here's a look at the full-time stats between York United and Vancouver Whitecaps. 27 shots. That is a massive number. Jensopoulos, like I said, head on a swivel here. But either way, Vancouver Whitecaps walk away with the 4-1 victory. We saw 5 goals in about the last 26 minutes of play in that game. So Vancouver move on. Now they're going to just wait to find out who their opponent will be between Pacific and TSS Rovers. But maybe we can begin with Vancouver because, again, I go back to that outburst of goals against Minnesota, 3-2, just the second time in league play that they had scored more than 1 goal in a game. Now they get 4 here. You wonder, and I always use the Canadian Championship as the possibility to springboard into positive things. Maybe sometimes you can nosedive after that a little bit. But do you think this has given Vancouver the confidence that they can score a lot of goals?
They're already in the process of springing. I'm not sure what this game does. And I think that they had to around the CONCACAF Champions League games when they were completely outclassed by LAFC. Vancouver Whitecaps have proven that they can go out and beat, teams that are their equals or they're better than. It's just there's a little bit of a gap, I still think, between them and the top teams across Major League Soccer. Do they have the ability to close that gap? Yeah. And I like what I'm seeing from younger players. Ali Ahmed is very good. I'm high on Berhalter. Betcher continues to scoring. I think that trading away Dahomey made a whole lot of sense. It's almost like addition by subtraction because you can bring in other players, give them some more burn rather than a player that simply wasn't productive for you over the last 2 years. So they're continuing to move in the right direction, and I like what I'm seeing.
Vanni Sartini said today the XG is high, but they're not translating into goals. But you have so many bodies. You have a Brian White, you have a Betcher, you have young players coming up that could do damage. I think they just need a bit of time, but also when they have those moments, rise to the occasion.
What about the reverse sense? Let's talk York United. In fact, York and Pacific will play each other next this weekend on Mother's Day on Sunday. But York, they were holding their own to the 64th minute. This is a team that's already struggling in the Canadian Premier League. This is a team that's already struggling to find goals. How do you think this can affect them?
I think when I'm looking at specifically D-Row tonight, I think a guy that has potential and showed last year what he can do, it seems like there's a weight on his shoulders. I think also too, that ball that Bahia played to Brian Wright, I know last year he's scoring that too. There's a bit of pressure right now for these strikers to go and score. But I think they need to really hold on to that and start performing and start saying, look, there is pressure, but pressure is a privilege, and this is what is put on me when I'm expected to score goals. And they need to do better. You're looking at tonight, I don't think the work rate for the front, the 2, the 9, or I would say D-Row and Brian Wright that came on, is not where it should be. I know these guys personally, and I know that they can do more, Wheels.
My concern isn't what we saw tonight. I thought they were okay tonight. I thought they were good. I worry about injuries and having players in the squad who are reliable. Staying healthy, staying fit is a skill, and not every player can do that. Petrasso's not playing right now. Johnny Grant back out. Roger Thompson, after playing last game, came on, played 24 minutes tonight, left. If you have too many of these players on a team, things can crumble pretty quick. Gagnon Lapare is out. Moba Booley's out. I mean, these are key players for this York United squad, and there's very little room for error or step backs in a very competitive Canadian Premier League this year. There's parity across the board, and these are the things that can separate teams that are playoff bound and teams on the outside looking in. That's my main concern. I hope they didn't play Roger Thompson tonight if he wasn't fully ready to go. Coming off playing 63 minutes, it was a concern. Mordekudis came out of it okay. Thompson did not. That's going to be a continued concern for me with York.
Yeah, and it's early in the Canadian Premier League, but you're right. These injuries can really set you back, especially when you look at what Pacific is being able to do. Forge right now, once again, being class. You still have other teams, though, that are still looking for their first wins. Of course, Cavalry, which is surprising, Halifax. But you don't want to fall too far behind, because it can get past you pretty quickly.
You don't. I think an issue also with York United, I felt for the past 2 years being there, but I can also see within this squad, is just the depth. Yeah, you're talking about injuries, but it's different if you have 2 or 3 players out, but you have 2 or 3 that can come in and do a shift. if you have younger guys or foreigners that aren't really used to how the team or the league is, it creates a huge hole, Wheels.
Yeah, and you're going to need others to step up. Some have looked okay, but those gaps in key positions, central midfield, center back right now, are real worries for this team just in terms of the depth in those areas.
I just saw you take another gulp. We're going to have to go to commercial
I'm okay.
break. Are you okay? All right, maybe he'll have some more water, but when we come back, we're going to get you set for the late night match. It is Pacific FC hosting TSS Rovers. Yes, the Cinderella story. You need them. This is what's wonderful about the Canadian Championship being the biggest that it's ever been. More teams than there ever have been before. You're bound to have upsets. They've already pulled one off. Can they pull off another?
The new season underway. Absolute class. It's the golden boy once again.
Oh, very good. What a sweet, sweet moment. Super goal.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis. And all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on onesoccer.ca.
Next up, we're heading to Starlight Stadium. Hey, will TSS Rovers give us another historic night? They are the Cinderella story. They want the magic to continue past midnight. They're playing with house money already going where no League One team has gone before. But will Pacific turn them into a pumpkin? They don't have time for fairy tales. Pacific wants to get back to the semifinal of the Canadian Championship. It is the second of our doubleheader. It is the final quarterfinal matchup in the Canadian Championship of 2023. Andy Petrillo, Jordan Wilson, Gareth Wheeler with you. Yes, it was historic. The first time ever that a non-professional team beat a professional team in the Canadian Championship when TSS Rovers beat Valor. Not just beat them, but the score was 3-1. Polisi had a brace, could have had a hat trick, ended up having a penalty saved as well. Things were looking good for this team, and they were the underdog who everyone was cheering for. And the big question here, Wheels, was this the biggest upset in Canadian Championship history?
It was a wonderful Canadian soccer story. The fans, the scenes, the entire spectacle was something that was must-see. Have to correct you because Bonazuri did beat Halifax Wanderers just in advance.
Okay, every time I say this, they beat them, but they didn't move on. So when I say they beat, I mean they've moved on to the next round.
But winning a game as an upset.
They did. They beat Halifax 1-0. I know, I called that game.
In terms of the biggest upset, I mean, another individual game that was an upset, FC Edmonton beat Montreal Impact in 2014. In the Canadian Championship in the first leg as well before being dumped out, but Montreal in the second leg. At that time, that was a massive upset. But that, for me, isn't the biggest one. The biggest upset in Canadian Championship history for me, if you're going to look at things the way that you're looking at it, aggregate over two legs,
move on.
It's 2019 Cavalry, their first year in the Canadian Premier League, knocking off the Vancouver Whitecaps, because this is an established MLS side. No one kind of really knew what to expect from the Canadian Premier League sides in year one. And this is the game for me that really put the league on the map, that showed you what this league's all about. Zator, Waterman, Trafford, Brett, Boucher. This team was excellent, an excellent team. And for me, this was the biggest upset story and still one of the most significant moments in the league's young history.
I just love seeing Zator there by that big header. He talks about this all the time, by the way. He's like, oh, that's my best goal, my favorite goal. Got up for that big header. But I will disagree with you slightly, because TSS Rovers, I think not playing a game and going and slapping Valor, they didn't just beat them. It wasn't a fluke. They bossed them off the park. I think this is the biggest upset story in Canada.
I will say this. Yes, it was their first game. It was game number 2 for Valor of the season.
Okay.
I think the conditions, and look,
the pitch wasn't that bad, Wheels.
It was slow. Look, we're seeing the game on an artificial surface tonight.
Yeah, it was totally different.
It seemed like both teams were running in quicksand, like they were playing beach football. But full credit, their organization, and for TSS Rovers, it was spectacular. The crowd, the aesthetic played a big part, playing at Swangard. It was a magical night. I'm not taking anything away. I'm just going biggest upset, more significance. Like, look.
You're allowed to choose that.
It kind of reminds me of March Madness here. It's like, once that upset happens, now it's how far can this group take it? Is this just a one-off, a 15 seed knocking off a 2 seed here and then lights out? Or is it going to be like this year's past March Madness where the upsets kept on rolling and rolling deep into the tournament? We're about to find out to see whether this was a one-off, because this TSS Rovers team in their league play in League1 B.C. have drawn one and lost one since that time. Or is this sustainable? How up for the guys playing Pacific tonight, and how much will that play a role in whatever's going to transpire?
And I love walking down memory lane, and that's why if Cavalry and Vancouver is yours, then you go with it. I mean, because there are other people who can make the argument of Pacific and Vancouver as well, just given it was more like this BC matchup. People would absolutely love that. TSS Rovers, this is a semi-pro team to be able to do what they did. You can even go further back in history. I keep going back. Now, would you call it an upset? No, I mean, there were 2 strong teams, but they were not good, really, in MLS, and that was Toronto FC against Vancouver Whitecaps in 2016 when Will Johnson broke his leg on a goal deep into injury time. They ended up losing 2-1, but that was still when it was 2 legs. So they do go on to beat Vancouver.
It was a dramatic moment.
It was a dramatic moment, and remember, they did not go on to represent at CONCACAF Champions League because Canada had hosted the 2015 Women's World Cup. So they actually won after the CONCACAF Champions League had started. So Will Johnson broke his leg.
Well, they won the Voyageurs Cup.
Not for nothing, but they had to go on and win again in 2017 in order to go to CONCACAF Champions League.
The trophy's what matters the most. The People's Trophy, Andy.
It is the People's Trophy. It is absolutely the People's Trophy. Do you think TSS Rovers can do it again tonight? Because this is a heavy Pacific FC team.
There's always a chance. Always a chance, Wheels. Come on.
Well, this is a team. Look at them. I mean, you got Pacific right now. And I mean, so Saluf leads this team with 2 goals. Ongaro, he did score in the game against Cavalry. They defeated Cavalry in the preliminary round, beat them on pens because it was 1-1 after 90. Ongaro getting the goal there. But, we heard James Merriman say it when he was with us just a few moments ago. He really wants to see him get going. This was their big signing as well in the offseason. So how do you think that offensive explosion against Ottawa could help them?
I think that a lot of players, Saluf, Ongaro, Daniels, I would say Ongaro when he came in, but Daniels and Saluf, the way they started the match, this is just finally them putting all the pieces together. I thought that who was really the catalyst of that was Manny Aparicio, though. I think the way that he just wins balls in the midfield and goes forward and breaks lines. Look, even here, this is a simple thing. The first 3 minutes of a match. Does a little move, looks to go forward, gets fouled here. Okay, but look, it's his intent to always go forward and the speed at which he does it. Here, he gets left in the middle of the midfield by himself, gets a little pressure, gets out of it. That's a foul. Plays immediately forward to Saluf in a situation. right? So he can get into the box and make something happen. Saluf loses the ball there, but this is what Manny does. And if TSS Rovers wants to have any success, they need to nullify him tonight.
Nobody better in the Canadian Premier League for me when he's at his best. Picked up a little bit of an injury earlier in the season, but I mean, when he's going, he makes everyone around him better. Interesting from James Merriman tonight in the starting 11. Only that one real change from his preferred starting 11, Gazdov out and Basket in at goalkeeper. So it's interesting that against a League 1 BC side, he's playing his big dogs. Yeah. The big boys are going to be barking tonight. So we'll see if that pays off. They have Canadian Premier League action, but they're making a real priority on this competition and dangling that carrot of now potentially playing the Whitecaps in the next round once again. It's too big of a prize to pass up on. I like this strategy from Merriman, but it's something that's at the very least notable.
Another change to Wheels as well was Cedric Toussaint coming out in the midfield. He's been playing well for Pacific, but not even on the roster tonight. So
but when everyone's fit, though, is he going to be absolutely in this team's best 11? Sean Young, Manny Aparicio, just depends the way that they want to play and what players they want to add where. And it also it depends on where you prefer to see Manny play. But Toussaint would be a loss, but this team is showing that they have some pretty good depth.
Yeah, and I think they're strongest in the middle, and I think their spine, their back four looks very, very strong as well. Two center backs that are tried and true, and you have Dada Luke on one side and George on the next side, and they're doing great this season.
All right, so we know how their season's going. We just told you about TSS Rovers, a loss and a draw in their League 1 BC season so far. Here's a look at their starting 11. Polisi, of course, like I mentioned, the man against Valor with his brace, almost could have had a hat trick there. We know how they enjoyed their success after that win against Valor. I mean, Will Cromack told us, went out and bought everyone around. But on the pitch, what did they do right, Wheels, to be able to have that success?
Well, there's a couple of names. I thought Smichenko and Sagawa were excellent on the right side of defense for this team. Polisi was boss in this game. But playing with Edwardson to one side and Mejia to the other, they were up. All three of them were absolute pests. There's Polisi. He was the star performer and who got all the headlines, but I thought Edwardson was right up there as well. Yeah. I mean, the way that they attacked, they never got tired. They were relentless just in terms of their work rate, and those three worked completely in sync the entire game. So whether it's the back four that were very, very good in terms of their organization, or those three players playing behind the number 9, I think that those are the focal areas of this team.
Yeah, and I think Zohar and Jones, those two in the middle, really impressed me. I love a midfielder, but those two really controlled the balance and the tempo of the game and did what I always say, play the game in the other team's half, play it in the opposition half. Tonight, you're playing a team that is better at keeping the ball than Valor did a few weeks back. So it's just, can you manage those moments? But TSS Rovers has a chance if they can combine those passes and play in the other.
Do you know what's gone, though? The element of surprise. It's just Valor's back line was a little bit of a mess, and they looked surprised every time that TSS Rovers came, and every time the ball was in the attacking third, it seemed like they created a chance. They were very efficient that way. Pacific, Merriman says we're focused on ourselves. They watch the tape. They understand.
Yes.
Of course, they're going to do their research. So, that whole element of surprise is completely gone this time around.
Well, a big thing about Valor when they played TSS Rovers, they started so slow. And then one goal went in. The second goal went in. Pressure. And then you're like, hey, let's try to find our feet. And it's not easy to do. So I think with this match as well, you're thinking Pacific, you got to really start well and put them out early.
And Valor, as good as they've been here at the start of the Canadian Premier League season, their strength is in the midfield. Like, they're not a team with the attacking options like this Pacific side. This is going to be a whole different kind of test for this TSS Rovers side.
Yeah, everything was so great for TSS Rovers in that first round. They were playing at home. Yeah. They were the underdog. You didn't know what to expect. And then we even heard Polisi say, I spied John Herdman with my little eye during warm-up. And that was very motivating to the team. But to your point, I'm not saying he lied to us, but we know James Merriman watched tape on TSS Rovers. He knows exactly what to expect from this team here tonight. So we're getting you set for this final quarterfinal matchup here in the Canadian Championship. Who will be the final team to move on to the semifinals and meet the Vancouver Whitecaps? Well, we now know who the official president is of Canada Soccer. The interim general secretary, Jason DeVos, stops by to chat more about what's next.
Canadian Championship is on one channel, one soccer.
It looks like we're headed towards
and many people's dreams of owning a home.
What's keeping you up at night?
I'm kind of stressed about my money situation.
Oof, it's stressful to talk about.
Oscar, come here.
Here's your financial stress companion.
She definitely helps.
It's never too late to start. Good portfolio.
Back with saving for my first down payment.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
To play. It's something that's in us from the very beginning, and something we take with us on every step of the journey. When we have no words, it gives us a way to speak. When we are still finding our way in the world, it gives us somewhere to belong. And no matter who we are or where we come from, it gives us the right to dream.
Christine Sinclair as she scores at her fifth World Cup. Alfonso Davies!
It's time to celebrate the game we love. It's time to play.
One channel for Canada's national teams. One soccer. Let's welcome into the show Jason DeVos, as we know, interim general secretary, but we all know you as so much more too, a former player, coach with the national teams, both men and women. But how you doing? Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thanks for having me, Andy. How are you?
I'm great. You know, we spoke when you were first mentioned and named as interim general secretary. We know you officially take over on May 12th, but we did speak before the elections were had last weekend, and now it is official that Charmaine Crooks will be the president of Canada Soccer, at least for the remaining year. What becomes the next order of business now that that is settled?
I think it's building back trust with everyone. The national team players, the membership of Canada Soccer, coming out of the AMM. We had a series of workshops over 3 days, which were very, very positive in nature. So it's about building towards the future. We had an excellent session on the Friday where the membership were able to provide their feedback on a variety of different topics that are important to them. So it's about listening. It's about collating that information, feeding it back to the membership, and then working collectively together to build towards the future.
We also know that there had been a lot of talk heading into those meetings as well about changing certain bylaws, and we did see a couple of them being changed. One in particular, of course, is, you know, who can run for presidency. Before, you had to sit on the board for at least 1 year. Now, as long as 2 voting members nominate someone, they can be voted for president. What do you make of some of those bylaw changes, and can we expect more?
Yeah, I mean, I think the membership have voiced their concerns about some of the challenges that our bylaws currently propose. But I think when I look at the overarching theme of the AMM was about change and about change in a positive direction. So, you know, Project 8, getting membership in Canada Soccer, and then working towards equality in voting for the men's professional and women's professional leagues in the future, as well as an increased voice for our men's and women's national team athletes in that voting structure. So there was a lot of positive work that was done, and the membership confirming that they're willing to work towards a new membership voting structure was one of the real positives that came out of the weekend for me.
Speaking of the national teams, do we know in the near future if there will be any meetings with them, any continuing talks when it comes to labor negotiations?
I had a meeting today with the players and the representatives. We'll be meeting again tomorrow. It's one of the top, if not the top priority for me coming into this role, is to get our players in a position where they can go out on the field and perform and not have to worry about labor disruptions or compensation or the resources that they need to perform at their best. We're in a very fortunate position right now. We have the women as Olympic gold medalists and going into a Women's World Cup this summer. Our men coming off the first World Cup they've participated in 36 years. There's a lot to be positive about, and one of my key objectives is to get them what they need to go out and perform on the field, because they've shown they can do it time and time again.
Can you give us any kind of indication of what the temperature is like with those talks? Do you feel pretty positive moving forward?
Yeah, it was a positive meeting today. Reintroducing myself almost in some respects to some of the players. On the men's side, obviously, I'm a lot more familiar given my recent involvement as an assistant coach with John Herdman. But going back to 2016, I was also an assistant coach with the women's team that won bronze in Rio. So more reintroducing myself, I think, to the players. But one of my key messages today was I still, despite my advanced age, I still think of myself as a player, and I know what they're fighting for, because as a player, I fought for the same things, which was the resources that we needed, the support we needed to go out and perform and do the country proud. So there's a lot of alignment there, and I think building back trust with the players by being 100% transparent with them, showing them everything they need to see to be able to have confidence that we're telling the truth and being honest with them, but then doing the things that we say we're going to do and following through on that is really the relationship building piece that we worked on most today.
Well, Jason, we always appreciate the honesty here, and we're going to be checking in with you. And once again, congratulations on this new post that you will officially take over on Friday. And we look forward to a great year to come, and in particular, the women getting ready for the World Cup. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Andy.
Jason DeVos, Interim General Secretary of Canada Soccer. And then before the women take to the pitch for the World Cup, which will be jointly hosted by Australia and New Zealand, the men will be in Las Vegas. The Final Four, they have made it in CONCACAF Nations League. Before we even jump into that a little bit, did anything stand out there with what Jason said?
Well, just the building trust.
Yeah.
Like, Jason's very much taking a glass half full approach to the state of Canadian soccer. And I sit here today, and this isn't to blow smoke up anyone's you-know-what, Canadian soccer has never been in a better place than it is today. What's frustrating from my perspective, and a lot of people that are working hard within the game today, is the negativity that surrounds it. You see this manifesting itself through leaking information, through reports, in stadiums across this country, online, player on player, player on executive, fan on fan, This negativity needs to stop because it's not working in the interest of anyone. A lot of these stories that are being written are self-serving. A lot of the actions of people that are taking place are self-serving. If we want to maximize what we can be as a Canadian soccer community from coast to coast to coast, we need to work together. We need this anger, just this desire to dunk on anyone that you may disagree with. It has to stop. And I would like to see everyone move forward and work along. From what I was told at the AGM on the weekend, it was tense, it was awkward at times. There still are people that would prefer to be divisive, to tear things down, rather than trying to build a better way. We have the ability to do that, so let's work on doing that together, not assassinating characters and taking aim at people that want to build a better Canada soccer. We've said this forever, Andy, that Canada soccer is being neglected by the corporate world, by outsiders, by broadcasters, by each other. There just hasn't been enough in it to build anything sustainable that will give everyone an opportunity. We're finally at a place where resources are there. I just hope that people approach this next step with a level of maturity, which will then lead to a more positive way to problem solve and lead to a better place.
That's what I'm looking forward to now, is that next step, right? Charmaine Crooks being the president for the next year. Jason DeVos, which again is a former player. This isn't just somebody who played and then went away. He came back, he stayed, remained as a coach. This is who we wanted, that voice, and he said it. I know what they're fighting for because I fought for the same things. The next steps, to see who truly wants to work together, I think we'll start to get answers to that. But CONCACAF Nations League as well for the men, wanting to get a trophy here. It all begins on June 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, semifinal round in Las Vegas. What are you most excited about?
Going to Vegas. No, come on, we're winning. We're going to the finals. This is the time.
Is this the time?
This
First
is the
trophy?
time. First trophy for sure. At least a finals appearance, and then we'll take it from there.
No excuses.
Come on, bud.
Honestly, no excuses. The expectation is to go on and prove that World Cup qualifying, again, wasn't a one-off.
Yeah.
That this is the new reality when it comes to the men's national.
Some injured players right now, that's okay. They have some time, heal up. And then we'll see you in Vegas, baby. Viva Las Vegas. Oh, this guy's ready.
He's in Vegas.
This guy's already there. Come on now. Getting set for Pacific FC. Whoa.
Oh.
How much gel and hairspray does that take? That right there is commitment.
Have you seen There's Something About Mary?
No.
The Canadian Championship on One Soccer is brought to you by CIBC.
It looks like we're headed towards
And many people's
stagflation.
dreams of owning a home.
What's keeping you up at night?
I'm kind of stressed about my money situation.
Oof, it's stressful to talk about.
Oscar, come here.
Here's your financial stress companion.
She definitely helps.
It's never too late to start. Good portfolio.
With saving for my first down payment.
CPL is on one channel, one soccer.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing. Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota VZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
One channel for CONCACAF Champions League. One Soccer.
Vancouver Whitecaps are awaiting their opponent. Who will it be, Pacific or TSS Rovers? Based on that camera angle, that looks like the tiniest boat I ever did see.
Cute.
But I know. And that is the greatest mustache we have ever did see. I mean, that's like, that can rival Lanny McDonald, as we know. Legendary NHL player, Calgary
Guys
Flames.
with mullets at the Vancouver FC game. On the weekend, we'll have a word with you.
Well, those are mullets. That's not facial hair. That's
Did they have
completely
mustaches
different.
too?
Oh, did they have the handlebar? All right. Well, other than looking forward to facial hair and funky hairdos in the stands, what are you looking forward to in this matchup?
The Cinderella story has to be obviously a talking point, but I think if TS Rovers can do it again, like in terms of play with confidence, play in that half, and then I'm also looking at this full team, if they can handle those moments that will come tonight. When Manny Aparicio is breaking through in the midfield, when Saluf starts to take on players, are you going to get bodies around him? I'm just wondering if this side could do it again, stay committed, and yeah, rally and see what they can get out of the night.
Do you know what I'm wondering?
What?
If TSS Rovers actually wins, whether Andy Petrillo will actually buy everyone around.
I know Andy will get us one juice box, and she'll ask us to share it. We'll probably have to poke 2 holes in it. I know that much.
The mini ginger ale. There you go.
If TSS Rovers wins tonight, is it a bigger upset than them beating Valor? I think so. I think that this is even a step higher. Like Pacific, this team is legit, Andy. I highly rate this team. This is going to be a tough task. They got a lot of people in British Columbia divided on this game. I cannot wait to see how it plays out. Let's see what the atmosphere here is like here tonight, because Swangard was outstanding. And here at Starlight, generally a good following for Pacific. We'll see what stokes this rivalry.
We haven't even mentioned it yet, but Polisi is coming back to his old pitch, right? When you're playing your team that you just left, should have signed a new deal, didn't sign a new deal, whatever the situation might have been, This is a night where it's either going, hey, I'm playing on flames, or you're letting the occasion get to you. So I'm wondering if he can have that same mentality, same intensity he had against Valor.
They also have a great initiative going on right now as well, where the tickets that are being purchased to this match, a percentage of it will also go back to TSS Rovers.
Awesome.
Right? And then some other teams as well that are on the island there. It's about giving back. So that percentage as well. So they are showing that camaraderie. Definitely in the stands, but on the pitch, you're right. Pacific, this is the stronger team. This is a team that's having a better league performance as well. But TSS Rovers, if they pull off the win and you see a League One team in the Canadian Championship semi-final.
Playing the Whitecaps?
What? What's that Gwen Stefani song? B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
Hey,
Hey, is that Alex? What's up? Okay, so he knows the guy. We need more information on what it took to get that hair to stay up like that.
What's your favorite movie? Big fan of Ben Stiller there,
Stop
bud?
it.
The Canadian Championship is on one channel, One Soccer.
The Canadian Championship on One Soccer is brought to you by Toyota.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota VZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
Life's better with extra space. Space for family. Space for memories. Space for you. Try 4 weeks free. Sentinel Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer and the Canadian Championship.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing. Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
The Canadian Championship on One Soccer is brought to you by Allstate. One channel for Canada's national teams. One Soccer.
Welcome to gorgeous Vancouver Island and Starlight Stadium, where TSS Rovers have made the trip across the ferry along with 100 of their supporters to try and see if they can take down a Canadian Premier League side again. They dispatched Valor in a Cinderella story that took the Canadian soccer landscape by storm. But this is a very informed Pacific side trying to make sure that it'll be them who meet the Whitecaps. Kickoff coming up next in Langford.